Hey, what's up, guys? Be here in just a second. Signing on right now. How's everybody doing? Doing good? All right, here we go. As most of you probably know, Hurricane Laura is now CAT4, scheduled to make landfall sometime tonight, probably within 12 hours. Hang on just a second. Check out this picture slide I put together. These are some of the most recent images of Laura in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, guys. So we're going to watch this storm go in for a while. This could be historic, like you saw in the title. This is a 100-year event. The last time something of this magnitude happened in this area was in 1913. I'm going to show you a graph and some things here in just a moment that reflect what is about to potentially occur, especially in the Lake Charles area. Lake Charles could completely flood. Unbelievable. At least according to some of the graphs that I've seen. Just quite remarkable. Could set a new flood record by 30 inches in the Lake Charles area. 30 inches. Again, the last time something like that happened was in 1913. Yep. And that record is about to be broken. Could be, let's put it that way. More than likely will if everything unfolds the way that, it looks like it could. I mean, this is a big, powerful storm, so it looks like it's set to be an overachiever. Yeah, no doubt about it. Trying to find a camera or two to take a look at as the storm is rolling in. Just trying to look at all the things we can in the area of Lake Charles especially. Here's a camera in the Lake Charles area. This is a bridge going across the lake, actually the river that I'm about to show you, a river gauge in the area of Lake Charles. This is Lake Charles, and that is the potential height of 15.6 feet, eclipsing the old record set in 1913 of 13 feet, eclipsing the old record by 30 inches. And that would be tonight during the overnight hours. Yeah, I mean, this is got unbelievable potential. Here is the most recent view of the hurricane as it's entering the Texas-Louisiana state line. This thing had potential when it was down by Cuba. Yeah. And there it is, right there. There's the potential it had down by Cuba. This thing reminded me a lot of Hurricane Michael back in 2018. Michael went towards the Florida Panhandle. This one's going towards the Texas-Louisiana state line. Right into Port Arthur, obviously Lake Charles, Beaumont. Those areas could see significant storm surge, inland flooding. I mean, this is going to go on for the better part of 18 hours nonstop. The inland flooding going 30, 40, 50 miles in just from storm surge. Not counting the 8 to 12 inches of rain. Lake Charles, this area right here, the majority of this is going to be underwater. What you're looking at right here on Google Earth, all of what you see here, it's unbelievable. All of what you see is more than likely going to be under some amount of water. Whether it be 1 inch or 20 feet. I mean, this could probably unfold into a 500-year event. That's just 2020 style. You know what I mean? That is 2020 style. Go big or go home, I guess. And it looks like it's going big again. Here's the hydraulic right here. See it? Right there. That's at Lake Charles. Look at that. Starting, pretty much any time starting to rise. In fact, it should be starting to rise right now. Here's the record, 13 feet. Set over a century ago. Major flooding begins at 8 feet. Major flooding. There's the forecast. 15.6. So we're going to go back to Google Earth. All of this area here, Calcasieu Lake, that goes up into Lake Charles. We're going to look at the map put out by the National Hurricane Center showing the majority of this area. In fact, not the majority, all of what you see right here underwater. Again, anywhere from 1 foot to 20 foot. These homes along the coast of Lake Charles here. Let me see if I can go. Yeah, there you go. See those homes? They're going to be underwater, under a lot of water, based off of the predictive models. If they verify, which it looks like they're going to, I mean, there's a massive storm sitting just about 170 miles, or at least the eye wall of the storm, away from those houses, and it's headed right in that direction. It's going to produce hurricane force winds 12 hours after landfall. 12 hours after landfall. This entire area here under substantial storm surge flooding from Beaumont over to just south of New Iberia. In fact, I've got a couple of people that send me sky phenomena photos from that area. Stacy, Ronald, now you guys know who you are if you're watching, and I know you're in South Louisiana. You guys send me some amazing pictures from South Louisiana. Also get pictures from right over here. DeQuincy. Yep. You guys have sent me pictures from all over this area. I hope you evacuated because you're looking at a substantial flooding event. It's starting to unfold right now as I do this video. I hope you guys are well away from the Lake Charles area and coastal Louisiana in general, and the northeastern coast of Texas. All of this area here is going to be under a substantial amount of water. 20 feet, that's unheard of. I'm going to take you to, 20 feet. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. But again, it's 2020 style. Go big or go home. Okay, here's the map put out by the National Hurricane Center. These are the pros. They watch these storms. That's what they do. Here's the map. They make the maps and the warnings and the alerts every hour at sometimes when it gets to, peak areas making landfall. They'll put up alerts as necessary, when it involves a lot of people. When it's making landfall, they'll put out alerts every 3 hours. After that, it's busy. And you can see how busy they're going to be, because this thing is going to be a system for a long way. Look at the track of that thing. That's crazy. It's going to span from Louisiana up into Arkansas, hurricane inland. Look, no joke. And you know what? One of the reasons, there's two, that thing's going to stay a hurricane all the way up into central Louisiana and east central Texas. One of the reasons is called the brown ocean effect. Do you know what the brown ocean effect is? The brown ocean effect is when land is so saturated that the hurricane eye wall goes over. The hurricane eye wall still feels that it's over water, so it remains a hurricane. That's why that's going to remain a hurricane 80 miles, if not farther, inland. Actually over 100 miles inland. Partially because of the brown ocean effect. You can Google it and you'll see that what I say is true. And the fact that it's a CAT4 doesn't help matters. It's strengthening as it's entering coastal landfall areas. It's strengthening. It's getting stronger. You can tell by looking at the eye wall. Look at that. Classic textbook major hurricane. No doubt about it. But I want to show you the landfall storm surge. Actually, the storm surge is starting right now. Of course, look at these numbers. They're just staggering. And again, these storm surge totals can go over 50 miles inland. Not necessarily at the 20 feet level. That's going to be very close to the coast. But I'm going to show you some totals around Lake Charles that, again, these are 100-year event numbers. Storm surge, 2 to 4 feet over here south of Galveston Bay at Freeport. 2 to 4 feet. 6 to 9 feet, Port Boulevard. 10 to 15 feet. Now, this is in Texas. At Searim State Park. 10 to 15 feet up into the Port Arthur, Beaumont area. Unbelievable. Johnson Bayou. Now we're over into southwestern Louisiana. 15 to 20 feet storm surge. That doesn't even... 15 to 20 feet. Unbelievable. Here's the river gauge that I just showed you right here. It's supposed to crest at 15.6 feet. Well, that's in line with the 15 to 20 feet storm surge. So those align and will more than likely verify in less than 24 hours. So I hope you guys are well away from that area. You can't be replaced, but your stuff can. Hopefully you took pictures of everything. I know if you're watching this video, you did. If you had to evacuate, you took pictures. And just ride it out somewhere else. Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, 10 to 15 feet. Intra Coastal City, 8 to 12. Vermilion Bay, 8 to 12 feet. Morgan City in the 8 to 12, 4 to 7 foot range. Going all the way over to Lake Pontchartrain. That's by Slidell, New Orleans. Looking at 2 to 4 foot storm surge. And that's 150 miles away from the eye wall. This thing is nuts. Okay, we're going to look at a map that's going to kind of give us an idea. And again, this is put out by the National Hurricane Center. Here is the storm surge inundation map. The color codes represent water depth. Okay. So here we go. This would be at the eye wall landfall area and just to the right of, which is traditionally the strongest part of the hurricane right here. So it's already beginning to push water up into this curve, and the water has nowhere to go but up. You see what I mean? And this is very strong. And remember, we've talked about this before on this YouTube channel. Hurricanes push down, tornadoes push up. And what I'm talking about is vortexes in the northern hemisphere. Same rules apply in the southern hemisphere, except they rotate clockwise. In the northern hemisphere above the equator, they rotate counterclockwise. Hurricanes push down. So right now, that strong core is pushing water down. And where is it going to go? Inland. And that's a big, strong storm. So it's going to push a lot of water. And not only push a lot of water, it's carrying a lot of water. There's a lot of water content in those clouds. A lot. So it's a tropical storm. That's what they do. You know, they rain because they condense moisture. They're heat engines. They transfer heat from the equator, actually north of the equator, to the poles. They distribute heat around each hemisphere. Cyclones in the southern hemisphere, hurricanes and typhoons in the northern hemisphere. They move heat around mainly at the end of summer. After the long, hot summer, these things spawn. And that's just what they do, you know. All right, here we go. Color-coded areas are the areas of coastal storm surge, super storm surge, unlike anything I've ever seen. I haven't seen a map like that. If you measure that on Google Earth, which we can, see right there? That's Lake Charles. That's the area where the river gauge that I just showed you of potentially 15.6 feet, smashing the old record of 13 feet by 30 inches. It's right here. All of that red indicates flooding, storm surge, not the rain. Storm surge above normally dry ground of up to 20 feet. I mean, that's even hard to say. Of up to 20 feet. All of these red areas. Okay? So Lake Charles, you can see, is surrounded by the color red all the way around. That's 9 feet or greater. Actually, it's greater than 9 feet. They don't know exactly because it will be a evolving storm that's going to change, you know, hour by hour. So greater than 9 feet. That's probably a very good assessment. All of these areas in through here, Bell City, Hayes, you know, you could see 20 feet of water there quite easily. And again, that's the brown ocean effect. That's classic brown ocean effect area. And not only this hurricane, but any hurricane that would land in this area in mid to late summer, these bayous and swamps are loaded with moisture, loaded with water. That's what a swamp is. And that water is very, very warm. So if a hurricane makes landfall here, for several miles inland, it's going to feel that it's still above water. And that's the case here, especially with the massive storm surge. It's pushing fuel above the swamps. That's why it's going to stay a hurricane inland for probably 6 hours because of the brown ocean effect. It's going to push its own fuel in, plus there's already some here in the form of swamps. But there's also communities here. It's not completely, you know, 100% swamp, but there's a lot of swampland here. Yeah, all of the red you see here is looking at up to 20 feet of storm surge. All the way up south of LeBlanc. Look at that. So we're going to measure from the coast, from right in here. And look at Port Arthur while we're here. We're going to come back and look at this a lot closer. The east side going into Port Arthur, all of that is red. All the way around to the north and to the west, a lot of red, a lot of orange, a lot of yellow over here. Yellow is greater than 3 feet above, and that's normally dry ground. So we're going to measure real quick here on Google Earth, just for perspective purposes. All right, right here. We're going to go inland. Going to go in miles. And we're going to go based off that map that we just saw. That Google, or that map from the National Hurricane Center. Okay, there's DeQuincy over there. And like I said, I received right there is DeQuincy. They're going to see some flooding. Okay, here we go. We're going to measure from the coast right here, just up past Lake Charles. You're looking at reaching to DeQuincy, which is 50 miles from the coast as the crow flies. And then going in this direction, looking at storm surge, again from the coast, potentially 50 miles inland. That would include Fenton and Woodlawn, Iowa. I just learned that there was an Iowa, Louisiana. Yeah, all of this is looking at mega flooding. All of this, 20 feet. Cameron Prairie National Wildlife, Lacassine National Wildlife Refuge, Hayes. All of these are communities. People live here. That's a settlement. People live there. Those homes are about to be underwater. A lot of water. See that right there? 20 feet will submerge. That's a single-story dwelling. If 20 feet gets in here, then that's going to submerge that home. There's a library right there, churches. This is a community. That's a functioning community. So, 100-year event about to unfold. Here's Bell City High School. Unreal. Look at the map. We'll go back to the map. Look for Bell City. Remember, all the red is up to 20 feet. 9 feet or greater. There's Bell City right there. Everything you see. There's Hayes. It's all red. That is a mega flooding event. I want to go over to Port. There we go. Sabine Lake. And that's right on the Louisiana-Texas state line near Port Arthur. And all of this area here, too, will see extreme flooding. You're looking up in the Beaumont area on the northern side of the river, going up to Beaumont. Beaumont itself looking at greater than 6 feet. That's the majority. See the gold? And some areas greater than 9. But the majority is the gold color right there. Greater than 6 feet above. That's above normally dry ground. Like parking lots, people's lawns, things like that. So we go back to Beaumont on Google Earth. Let's pull out of here. All of this area is going to see flooding. It's a generation flood that none of us have ever seen anything like it. And this thing was just miles away from, and it's still not made landfall yet, but, it could have easily went into Houston. But no area is, any less significant than the other. When a CAT4 makes landfall anywhere, even if it impacts one person, it is not a good thing. So we're looking at Beaumont. I'll go back to that map again. Okay, there's Beaumont there. There's the river. I think it was everything just, on both sides of the river. Okay, that's what I thought. Both sides. Let's compare it. There's Beaumont right there. So most of these homes, unfortunately, are going to see a lot of water. The majority of those homes are going to see 6 feet or greater. And remember, the ceiling in most of single-story homes, the ceiling is 8 to 9 feet. That's just on average. And there's the Neches River that's going to be overflowing with water. And that's going to be part of the reason for, flooding, not counting the storm surge and not counting the 8 to 10 inches of rain that they'll see in conjunction with all of this. Just an amazing event. All of this area going back to, Port Arthur is right here. And the reason Port Arthur looks like that is because it is a leveed area. Okay, there's a levee right there. We'll see how the levee holds. You know, a lot of water and strong winds and storm surge are coming that way. So those levees right there will most certainly be challenged. They will be challenged beginning in a matter of hours. You got a big, strong hurricane coming in that's going to challenge that entire system in there, right there. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't reach, at least briefly, like Hurricane Michael did. Hurricane Michael came up as a CAT4, just like Laura. Looked a lot like Laura. But briefly reached Category 5 right before landfall. And you saw what it did to the homes in Mexico, Panama City Beach. I mean, the homes were completely taken off of their foundations, the majority of them. It was, again, another moment, you know, less than 2 years ago, and that storm also started from the South Gulf of Mexico, just like this one here. I'm telling you, anytime a storm has the Gulf of Mexico underneath it, all bets are off. Yeah, anything can happen. This thing fought off dry air. Granted, there's not any wind shear, because if there's wind shear, which this is probably going to run into some wind shear, probably tomorrow. But in the meantime, it's got nothing but potential to get stronger because of the absence of wind shear. And one of the reasons, or one of the primary, at least, visuals that you can just tell without even looking at a weather map, you can look at the storm. A storm will be lopsided if it's encountering wind shear, and it won't have a nice eye wall like this one does. See the outflow, how it's breathing all the way around? It's because it's not getting any interference. A storm that's encountering wind shear will not even look like that. The satellite presentation will be lopsided. Good example, Marco was extremely lopsided because it was dealing with extreme wind shear. So much that it separated the core from the upper half of the storm, which in itself was quite bizarre. I've never really seen anything like that. Not the case here. Complete opposite. This one here is an overachiever. Just like we talked about Michael, this one too is an overachiever. Irma was an overachiever. Dorian was an overachiever. Back to the map. Oh, the power outages. This will change as the day progresses, and we go into tomorrow, and tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, into Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. All we got to do is follow, let's see, where'd it go? Here we go. We follow the National Hurricane Center map, which I'll come back to that here in just a moment. But we're going to see power outages from Texas, Louisiana, all across the majority of the states will see power outages from this storm. And that include, obviously, Texas and Louisiana on a large scale, Arkansas, large scale, southern Missouri, northern Mississippi, Tennessee, big part of Tennessee, and Kentucky, northern Georgia, North Carolina, parts of northern South Carolina, West Virginia, and Virginia, all the way up into New Jersey, Pennsylvania, which they have seen extensive power outages already this year from a tropical storm that gained strength and produced like 100 tornado warnings as it went up the eastern seaboard. Pretty incredible. So there's going to be, I don't even know how many power outages. There'll be multiple states. We know that. So, and that's going to be through Sunday. So they'll be trying to get power back on, and we'll see. And that's not to exclude Oklahoma. Oklahoma could see some of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. once again, looking at 10 or 11 states to potentially be affected by this storm. What I'm going to do is go back to the National Hurricane Center. I want to show you the map, which I'm sure most of you have seen this or a version of it. Okay, here we go. All right, here is the National Hurricane Center's website. There's Laura in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's click on Laura. 140-mile-an-hour winds, 952 central low pressure. That's a 952 millibars, moving at 16 miles. It slowed down just a little, but not enough to necessarily make any difference. I want to show you the map. Here's where the power outages. We follow this map here. This is where it's going to go. See right there? All of that area spanning through Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Looks like Long Island, New York is in this cone. And then this thing re-strengthening as it gets out over the open waters of the northern Atlantic. Just incredible. But remember, this is going to easily stay a hurricane over land for a while after it makes landfall as a major hurricane. It will decrease to a hurricane over the course of, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't 10 hours. Stayed a hurricane for 10 hours over land. And then unwinding, because these things, especially a Category 4, I mean, it gets really wound up, as you can see here. Let's go to the visible. There it is. That's the visible satellite. Yeah, that's a classic for sure. I'll show you guys the water vapor that was in the thumbnail. I think it's here. Yeah. There it is. All the green is water. It fought off the dry air. It had some dry air in front of it. Look how it's just pushing it out of the way. It is not, that eye wall is closed so tight that the dry air can't get in and interfere with it. In fact, it got stronger. That's what the brown and gold colors indicate on here. Dry air. Green is very moist air. That's a classic hurricane. It's going to take a while for that to unwind. And when it makes landfall, it's going to push a significant amount of water inland, which is going to give that eye the impression it's still over water. So that's still fuel. It's called the brown ocean effect. So it's going to remain a hurricane all the way in, let's say, landfall right here in the Sabine National Wildlife Refuge. Mega, and this is Holly Beach, the Holly Beach area right in here. It's going to be inundated with water. There's no way around it. All of that water is going to be pushed forward. That eye wall is going to be over water while it's on land. Yeah, it will not remain a major hurricane more than likely for too long, but it'll come down to like a Category 1 as it's going past Lake Charles. Are you serious? It's going to be a lot like what occurred in Iowa. This right here. That was a land-based system, a derecho, back on August the 10th. This is in the middle of the country. Look at the sideways water. The storm that we're looking at right now is going to look like this one on steroids. It's going to challenge rooftops of homes, buildings, power poles, which this storm did in Iowa. Took up a lot of trees, thousands and thousands of trees. Took 2 weeks to get the power restored. because of this thing here that was literally like a land-based hurricane. The moisture content here was unbelievable over the middle of the state of Iowa, and it looked like it came off the ocean because it was loaded with so much water and persistent high winds that went on for a long, long time. And here's a bench of sky showing landfall in that area that we were just looking at right here, right near Port Arthur, in between Port Arthur, Lake Charles, basically at the Holly Beach area, right in there. Yep, right there. I had somebody send me a message about 3 days ago when I suggested that this could become a Category 4 storm. They said I was they said I was saying that to get views. No, you don't know me very well, do you? I was saying that based off of experience, and I don't have an ego. I'm just telling you, I knew this thing had potential to be an overachiever 3 days ago. But you don't follow hurricanes like I do. You probably haven't been in 3 hurricanes like I have. And ever since I was in 3 hurricanes, I was determined to figure out how they worked, because I'd never seen anything like it. So, am I an expert? No, I wouldn't say that. But I'm just an observer with a lot of experience. And I say that very humbly. That's the truth. And that thing right there, probably going to go down in the record books. And again, you know, that's so 2020. Here's a forecasted model. And these could be upper level winds above the ground, but showing 179 mile an hour. That's here in just a few hours, you know. So whether that verifies or not, we'll have to see. But that's right in the area where the potential landfall, more than likely, is going to be right near the Holly Beach area, eye wall going over Lake Charles. And you got to keep in mind, Port Arthur, this is going to push water in with it. And remember the brown ocean effect, because there's bodies of water here anyway, all right? It's going to push water in. This is all going to become collectively one big body of water for a period of time, several hours. And that eye wall that we see right here is going to feel that it's still over water. It's got plenty of fuel even after it makes landfall. Plenty of fuel. And this area here, again, that's Port Arthur. A lot of red on the Louisiana side. Depending on how the levee holds up over here at Port Arthur, it is definitely going to be tested for sure. How well it does remains to be seen. But Bridge City, all of the red you see here is anywhere from 9 foot and greater. They're confident that these areas of red are going to get at least 9 feet of water. And that's above normally dry ground, all the way up to 20 feet of water. And the areas more than likely that will see that, the 20 feet, will be the areas next to the bodies of water and the coastal areas. And Lake Charles, that could crest at 15.6, setting a new record by 30 inches. Unfortunately, all of those homes and businesses and that community around Lake Charles, I mean, you can just tell by looking at the map, it's all going to be underwater. We go back to Google Earth, we go to the Lake Charles area, water is going to come right up here because the strong part of the system, or at least the strongest part, as we've known from following hurricanes for a long, long time, that's the right-hand side of that storm right there. That's going right up into Lake Charles. That the right-hand quadrant of the storm. So a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of storm surge. And those three things are going to change the topography here, not only temporarily, but quite possibly forever. Yes, sir, it's going to happen. The Civic Center, Millennium Park, just all of this area here. You'll be able to take boats through town, unfortunately. Yeah. You'll see more boats through here than you will cars and trucks, because you won't be able to get cars and trucks through here. Like right there is a single-story dwelling that could potentially be completely underwater. Most of these are single-story dwellings, so hopefully everybody evacuated, because I'm not so sure that you would even be safe in a two-story. Not with the winds that are coming. Like here's a two-story home right here. You know, it looks like a brick home, looks like an older home, but it's well taken care of. Nice piece of property right there. I mean, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of water in that home. It's unavoidable. There's no place else for it to go. But I wouldn't feel safe in that area right now. And I know there's probably people there. There could be, like this, here's a little stream that goes right through the middle of town. See that body of water right there? Oh man. It's connected to the lake. All that's going to flood. All of this is going to flood. You'll see more boats through here in the coming days as the water slowly retreats over the course of the weekend. And yeah, there's a two-story. But again, the wind is going to be a major component in through this area. High winds, possibly tornadoes. And not only that, you're going to have the core strength going through here. The eye wall going right through this area. More than likely as a Category 1 hurricane. Inland. I'd say quite easily. So you're going to be right next to the eye wall of a Category 1. Let's just say 90 mile an hour sustained winds. But if it's moving at 16 miles per hour, that would be 90 mile an hour winds sustained for an hour straight, as this thing goes 16 miles in 1 hour. So that's going to challenge roofs, trees. The trees are going to be loosened from the soil that they're in because of the extreme water content. Big canopies in the summer, so the canopies are like parachutes that are going to collect a lot of wind. That wind is going to equate to energy. It's going to snap branches and uproot trees. It's just unavoidable. Yeah, the wind gusts. And this is just a model that could be above ground. It doesn't say that. Even the ground wind gusts, and these are gusts. These aren't sustained winds. But you take 125 mile an hour sustained wind, factor in even 150 mile an hour gust. It's like a CAT4 tornado or an EF3. That's what I say. If you're there, you know, I hope you're hunkering down like you would for a tornado, but you're going to have to deal with storm surge. A tremendous amount of storm surge. So hopefully there's not one pet person, anybody in Lake Charles. You know, somebody asked me earlier today about Beaumont, and you can see why. You know, I said Beaumont is not a safe place to be during this storm. Beaumont, Orange, Pine Forest, Nederland, obviously Port Arthur. None of these areas. Sulphur, DeQuincy, the eye wall is headed right towards DeQuincy. Like I said, I have a viewer that sends me pictures from DeQuincy. And I know they evacuated. If not, you need to get out of DeQuincy ASAP. You really do. I know I would. And I'm a weather fan. But I know my boundaries, and I would not challenge that thing. So if you're still there, you need to go. Get out of there now, because the outer bands are coming. That eye wall looks to be... Let's measure. You ready? We'll just take an approximate here on Google Earth. Once again, all of that's going to be underwater. But yeah, I've received pictures from that area. DeQuincy, Leesville, Nacogdoches. I remember those names. I remember a lot of the names where these photos come from that you guys send me. I really do appreciate it. Even though it takes me a while to get to the emails, I do try. All right, here we go. I'm going to measure just approximately. Let me look one more time. Okay. Looks like that eye wall is about 100 miles offshore. So if it's moving at, I'm just trying to calculate here. Laura is moving at 16 miles per hour to the northwest. So it's got to go 100 miles, what, 8 hours? About 8 hours, that eye wall, 9 hours, give or take. It just depends. These things kind of wobble a little bit to the right and left. They don't go in a perfect straight line. So, yeah, sometime in the next 10 hours, give or take an hour or two, going to make a landfall. Let's go to the visible here. It's the University of Wisconsin. Oh, wow. Oh, that's got a deep convective. Look at that. That is just nuts. Very tall, overreaching cloud tops that whenever you see the reflectiveness like that, and especially like on this one, it's very dark. That tells you that it's reaching up into the higher elevations where it's cold. You guys all know the higher up in the air you go, the colder that it gets just naturally. There it is. That's the water vapor. These are different presentations from a tropical website I used, University of Wisconsin, and you can see this is a very strong hurricane. It's another look at it here. These are just different formats. Looks like a buzzsaw, like classic buzzsaw hurricane, no doubt. Look at that. That thing spans for over 500 miles wide. 700. Look at that thing. Wow. Unbelievable. Infrared here. And again, the satellite presentation is just classic hurricane. There it is. So yeah. So it's coming up to, this thing's still got 100 miles to go. All right. A lot can happen in 100 miles. It went from, if I'm not mistaken, let me look at this again. Let me pull out to, okay, we can go from right here. All right, it went from Category 3 to Category 4 in about 100 miles. So don't be surprised. It may not make Category 5, but it could certainly get close. It could certainly get close, no doubt about it. Because it went from Category 1 to Category 3 in, let's say, 100 miles. 100 miles to go. Can it go to Cat 5? I hope not. But I do know this, the potential's there. These are wind gusts from windy.com. This is a European model. This is what I was showing you guys yesterday. 150. This is at its current position right now. And a lot of these, with sustained winds of 140 miles an hour, as a Cat 4, wind gusts are certainly going to be in the 160 mile an hour range. Absolutely. So those are more than likely surface readings. Yeah. So there it is in, say, a couple of hours. Looks like it's maintaining about the same strength, 160 mile an hour gusts just on average, 150, 160. These are gusts. That's another place right there that's going to see a significant storm surge event, and that's Cameron. That's around 8 tonight. That would be local time. It's 3:30 almost in the Louisiana area. Step it forward to, this is clear, up to 10 o'clock tonight, then making landfall. And again, wind gusts, you can see, have actually increased a little bit from what we just saw. 168 mile an hour wind gusts at landfall, 172. I'm not making this stuff up. Right there it is, and that's refreshed. I mean, these things are overachievers. And that's a wind gust. That is not sustained. That's a wind gust, which we just saw wind gusts in Iowa. I showed you guys that video clip that was sent in by Jason Thomas. He was right in the middle of the derecho, and you could see wind gusts inside those sustained winds of that derecho. And some of the wind gusts were, some people were saying 140 miles per hour. Which, from the looks of the videos that I saw from there, I would not be one bit surprised. So this producing 172 mile an hour wind gusts, I would say it could probably do that quite easily. It's no telling what's going on up in the, say, 5,000 foot range. You probably got wind speeds of over 200 miles per hour. But that's not at ground level. All we're concerned with really is ground level, obviously. This is the North American model. It's called the NAM. You have different ones to cross-reference. They just kind of balance each other out. And this, too, is showing extreme wind gusts at landfall. Let's just see what it's showing. 138, 126, 138. And the stronger, obviously, over on the right-hand side. 141, 135, 140. And that's tonight at 10 p.m. So we've still got a ways to go, and this thing could, yeah, again, look at there. There's a wind gust. I just refreshed that. Oh, man. There you go. This one is showing 186. So it's looking at different things. They all look at different things. That's the thing about these models. They're all different because they compute. These are done by computers. They compute different aspects of the local environment where the eye wall and storm are at. So this is calculating something else that the other one that I just showed you was not. And it's perceiving possible wind gusts tonight of 186 miles per hour. I'm not making that up. That's what this model is telling me. And I've used this for years. This is a good source. So just because you may not agree with it, I can't help that. That's what this thing is showing us. 186. Let's go over here. Okay, there you go. That's CAT4, my friends. That's CAT5 strength. A CAT5 produces 199 mile an hour wind gusts. Are they stronger? We're looking for 200. If you see 200 in here, then you know. Wow. I just saw that's the first time I've seen this right here. No joke. 199 mile an hour wind gusts. That is insane. There it is right there. You saw it. Whew. Man, that is rough. That is rough. So there is a possibility, if this thing verifies, that that could make landfall for a brief period of time, hopefully. But that right there would be CAT5 strength. Saw that with Irma. Saw numbers like that with Irma and Dorian. Just being honest. Those are the type of numbers that Irma and Dorian were putting out. Right there. So when I was sharing data yesterday with potential wind gusts of 170 miles per hour, you know, that may have been a little low. So we'll just have to see, but hopefully everybody's out of this area. That is unbelievable. And I just refreshed that. That just updated within the last probably 15 minutes. Because it's not very often that inside this area here. You see that charcoal color? That hardly ever shows up on here. The only time I've ever seen that charcoal color on here was during Dorian and during Irma and during Michael as it made landfall. And you know what those were, right? They were CAT5s. Hang on. This thing's just getting wound up. Oh my. And it looks like the central pressure, in fact, let's just check real quick while we're here. Boom, we're going to check the central low pressure. If we can get an accurate reading. Intensity. There we go. Oh my. Okay, well, that just confirmed it. You see the numbers up there? See the 929? That's just one model, okay? There's others. But 929 is very close to the Category 5 range. Category 5 range is around 920. Okay? So if it reaches 920, that would be the central low pressure of... Let me put it back on here real quick. Where'd it go? Okay. That would be the central low pressure of the eye wall right there. If it gets into the 920 range, then you got a CAT5 on your hands. Absolutely. That's the intensity right there. But let's look and see what the National Hurricane Center is saying. I want to use this one. Now this was as of, what advisory? 1 p.m. Central Time. So we've got another advisory coming up. Actually in about 30 minutes, okay? And it doesn't show, I can't believe it doesn't show the central low pressure on here. That's nuts. Why wouldn't they show that? Maybe I can find it over here. Let's go to Bench of Sky. That's windy, I'm sorry. Let's go to Bench of Sky. Bench of Sky is good too. It's not showing the central low pressure. Well, let's refresh this and see if it's updated any. Yep, it has. It's got it slowing down because I updated it with the same exact time and it moved it back offshore. Okay, that's fine. Let's move it up, making landfall around 9 tonight. This is just one model. Wind gusts 120s. Looks like 120s being the high end. Still in the 120s. Getting closer to 130. There's 130. So this one is also showing a strengthening tonight. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so not quite as much, but strengthening as it makes landfall. And that's one model at Bench of Sky. Look at this one here. And it's got it even stronger than the other. Not quite as intense as we saw over at, at Windy, but still increasing in strength a little bit at landfall, and especially on the right-hand side. So hopefully, you know, I mean, not too much, but you're looking at the 140s, close to 150. So we'll see. But look, Beaumont. And I mean, it's just miles away from a Houston landfall. It's not going to, doesn't look like, but yeah, this is showing a landfall right between Beaumont and Lake Charles. That's a very strong storm. And we'll see how long it's got it being a hurricane as it goes up. See, it's still a hurricane after landfall. That's the brown ocean effect. Right there is classic proof. Look, eye wall over land. The eye wall still thinks it's over water. You know why? The brown ocean effect. Because it pushed all the water inland. There's another indication right there of significant storm surge. I mean, that thing's still cranking winds of well over 100 mile an hour right next to Lake Charles, Port Arthur, and Beaumont as a hurricane over land. You see it right there because the central eye thinks it's over water. That's at 3 a.m. 4 a.m., it's adjacent to Lake Charles, still cranking out hurricane force winds. And it's still got an obvious eye. So Port Arthur, Beaumont, they're going to see winds from all different directions. I had somebody that told me they were right outside of Beaumont. And they asked me, and normally I'm not going to, the choice is ultimately up to you, but they asked me if it would be a good idea to stay just outside of Beaumont during this event. And after looking at all of these things that I've looked at now for quite some time, Lumberton, I've gotten photos from Lumberton. I get photos from a lot of you people down south. You guys are really good. Right there is why I said it would probably be a good idea to get away from Beaumont, because Beaumont's going to receive winds from the north, from the northwest, from the west, from the southwest, and from the south. So trees in the Beaumont area are going to be loosened up from all directions with very strong winds, not counting the significant water that's supposed to come into the Beaumont area. So yeah, I suggested that they leave and go, inland away from Beaumont. Yeah, that it's not going to be safe there. And this is another reason why, because this thing is going to be a land-based hurricane for several hours after landfall. Look at that. Brown ocean effect. So you can see right there, it's got water pushed 50 miles inland. Still a hurricane at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're getting close to sunrise, and this thing's still going to be cranking hurricane force winds north of Lake Charles on the Texas-Louisiana border. 5 a.m. There you go. Starting to unwind a little bit by 6 a.m., but you can still see. Now you're getting down to more of a tropical storm, but hurricane force gusts as this thing's getting up towards Shreveport. It's going to cover a huge area. Oh my. 8 a.m. Still got somewhat of a visible eye wall. And that's many hours after landfall. All right, guys, this webcams, I got some questions that some people have asked. I'm trying to retrieve a few. I don't have my normal live stream studio open for some reason. It's just not available today. That's why I was having difficulties getting online. So I'm just thankful to get online. I'm getting questions from my moderator, who does a great job. But they asked about webcams. The only webcam that I'm aware of, I know there's others, but I'm not going to mention them. There is one webcam, if I can find it, that I was using. Where did it go? Got about 900 windows open here. Oh, I got it on a different... I know why, because I have it on a different page. Yeah. Where'd that page go? Is it under here? Oh yeah, okay, here's a webcam, guys. And you can find several webcams here. Gotta refresh it. This is at 511la.org. It's the Department of Transportation in Louisiana. So what I'm doing is going to the cameras as long as they stay on. I don't know how long they'll be on because the weather conditions are going to get quite inclement, and a lot of times that inhibits the function of these cameras, not just these, but cameras in general. But I'm watching this one here above Lake Charles because this is the lake. This area is looking at potential flooding, significant flooding of up to 20 feet in some areas. The lake itself is supposed to set a record of 15.6 feet above flood stage, breaking a record that's well over 100 and actually 107 years old. So this is one that I'm watching, and you can see there's a variety of other cameras in that area. I don't know about down on the coast. Let's look. I'm sure there probably is, right? Because there's roads down there, I think. Let's look and see. There's Calcasieu Lake. That's going to fill up big time. Going right through Cameron. Cameron looking at potentially 20 feet of water. I mean, that's just hard to even say, but there's no cameras down in here, guys, because there's no major roads. It looks like the cameras are on the major thoroughfares. I think they all work. Yeah, that one works. To be quite honest, I haven't really looked. I found that one that I liked because it's over that body of water, but who knows how long it's going to stay on. That's a camera looking at the water tower on Ruth Street. That's near Sulphur. There's another camera here over on the other side of town. You can see it's 3:40 p.m. It's got the time and date. I mean, here's another one. Lake Charles once again. And that'll be an interesting one to watch, even though power is more than likely going to go out. And that's the only thing. I mean, yeah, you can watch these for a while, but more than likely power is going to go out. And when the power goes out, then these are not going to be available for probably quite some time. And this is at Lake Charles, and you can see the cameras kind of bouncing. See it? We'll check the buoys here in just a minute, guys. That's a good question. But look at this camera bouncing. Look at that. And it's just getting warmed up. Just getting warmed up. We're gonna go look at buoys. Here we go. Find buoys off the coast, but a lot of times these buoys are not active for whatever reasons. Let's see if we can find some buoys off the coast of Lake Charles. Okay, there's the storm. I'm going to it right now. I'm going to that area. There's storms over off the Pacific coast, but those usually are not problematic. And yeah, here's the thing that I run into, and I'll show you. I got to find another place. I know where I can find some buoys, but look at all these. See all all those are buoys, right? But look how many are inactive. All the red ones don't work. Go figure. They don't work. Somebody asked how this compares to Katrina. I really don't want to say. I think it's going to be worse than Katrina in some regards. It may not affect as many people, which would be great. I hope it doesn't affect many. Hope everybody got out of there. Storm-wise, I think the storm itself is already stronger than Katrina. Yeah, I do. That was a unique situation because New Orleans and those levees and all that combined was a unique situation. And New Orleans being below sea level or right at sea level, it just made for a bad day, you know. Yeah, I got to find some better buoys. Look, all of these are inactive. Unreal. Unbelievable. That's just totally useless. It really is. What a waste. Don't work. Wow. It's actually embarrassing to think that there are that many that don't work. Take a lot of pride in what you do, don't you? All right, we're going to go to another place that may have decent buoys. We're going to check and see. Tell you where I'm at. Went to one of my favorites, windy.com. Okay. And what I'm looking for are buoys. I think they have buoys on here, but I'm not sure. Let's look. Okay, we're going to go to, here's sea swells. Wind, oh wow, that's what I was looking for. Wind waves. Okay, see the right side? There's where your storm surge is coming from. 35 feet, 33 feet. Right on the right side of that storm. This is over at Windy. Yeah, the white are the taller ones. 33 feet, 32, 33. I think those are about, oh, there's 36. So according to that, 36-foot waves right now, that's right now. Off the coast, covering a large area, big wave field. See, it hasn't even got into the land yet as far as the coast goes. The big waves. Here's a camera, and intracoastal. Look at that. There's a view looking out towards the Gulf 11 minutes ago. Here's a view from Galveston. It's still coming in. Still coming in. Yeah, see that charcoal color right there in the center of that cone? You don't see that on here very often. 196, 197, 196, 198. Wow. 199. Yeah, what more than likely what we're going to do, guys, is do a live tonight. I just want to give you guys an update on just the overall situation, with regard to the outer bands are just now coming in. You're looking at Lake Charles right there. You can see evidence of wind starting to pick up. That's a camera looking to the south. Yes. And that's the coast out there. So it's on its way. It's not there yet. It's about 1:40, about 4 p.m. in the Louisiana area. So we're looking at a landfall later on this evening. So we'll come back on and do a stream tonight when this thing starts to make landfall and see what the situation is. Right now we have a Category 4 storm. Don't be surprised if this thing increases to a Category 5. The potential's there, that's all. And I'm not hyping this up. This thing speaks for itself. I wasn't hyping it up 3 days ago. No. If I didn't think it had potential to become a CAT4 3 days ago, I wouldn't have said it. Did I say one word about Hurricane Marco? I never even did a report on Marco. You know why? Because I knew what it had to deal with. Wind shear. That thing didn't have a chance. So I didn't even focus any time on Marco. Maybe 15 minutes. And that was scattered out over the course of a half a day. I knew it was going to have too much wind shear to deal with, and it was way, way too small. I mean, the eye wall of that thing that was there for an hour was about 2 miles wide. It was not ever a contender. This one has always been the contender. And when I said it had a chance to be a CAT4, I meant it. Of course I did, or I wouldn't have said it. Because I had people give me a hard time about it, which that doesn't bother me, just so you know. I know that's just part of it. But I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe that. I speak truth. I may not always be right, because I'm not the oracle of knowledge. But this is one thing that I've learned a lot about over the years. I was not right when I said it was going into Houston, even though the possibility has always been there, which I'm glad it didn't. But the fact remains it did become a Category 4, and it might become a Category 5 storm. We'll see. But 15 to 20 foot storm surge coming. Record in Lake Charles area, 15.6. Smashing the old record of 13.6. And by the time we come back on later on, we'll probably already start to see power outages in Louisiana and Texas. Look for just a big heads up in Arkansas. The entire state of Arkansas could see significant impacts from this storm. Arkansas, northern Tennessee, southwestern Missouri, especially in the Boot Heel. Yeah, this thing's an overachiever. There's not much that's going to slow it down. Even after it makes landfall, that brown ocean effect's going to take over, and it's still going to feel like it's above land. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here for now. Thanks for watching. I'll hop back on around 6 p.m. my time, which will be around 8 p.m., maybe around 5:30 p.m. my time, 7:30 p.m. Louisiana time as this thing gets closer to making landfall. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by, and be safe out there.